Hi everyone, this is Chrisa, founder and teacher of Bautanz Constructing Dance. Today we're going to look at how we lead. Some people would say, well, don't I need a partner to actually practice my leading? Yes, of course you do need a partner to actually practice your leading, and especially if your partner can give you good quality feedback, not necessarily positive, but good quality feedback. So I want to take a moment here and talk about the followers in this case. So when you're actually in a partnership, you want to make the other person's work a little bit easier. That is, you do it through your dance, of course, but also you do it through the way that you give people feedback. So saying something like, I didn't feel that you didn't lead me. It's not very helpful. So the problem is the other person gets frustrated because they don't understand what it is that they're missing out. Instead of saying that, say they were leading you into, I don't know, a back ocho. Let's take that as an example. So they were leading you into a back ocho, and for some reason you're falling off balance and you realize that the timing is a little bit off. So the way that you actually are supposed to say it is, you know what, I'm feeling right when we take that step at the middle of the shift of weight. After that as I'm shifting my weight, I feel that we're rushing into the pivot. So I don't have my balance yet there, and that's why I feel I'm falling a bit off when I'm actually doing the pivot. So then the other person will actually understand, okay, this is where I need to be careful with. This is at this moment of as she's shifting the weight from one foot to the other, and they'll focus their attention there, and that will fast forward your progress, instead of saying something like, oh, you're throwing off balance. Sorry. The reaction will be much different. So in a nice way, in a polite way, try to explain with as many details as you can what it is that you feel, and always keep in mind that it might not be fully the leader's mistake. It might actually be your mistake as well. Now, how do we practice leading without having a partner? And this is something that really doesn't have to do with leaders only. It is something that has to do with followers as well. So it really has to do with how you manage to create movement in your body that is working in the most efficient way. So as you've seen in videos before, I am more I have as a bigger goal to create movement in the body simultaneously, meaning, yes, of course you have one part of the body that's doing a primary work, but the rest of the body is supporting that movement. So we're going to see how we can do that in the best way to actually have a great result when we are leading forward and back steps. So we're going to start with that, and you can apply the same rules when you're actually doing anything else. So let's get started. I'm going to turn you around here just a tad so you can actually see me, and here we go. So when we take a forward step, and let's say we have our posture. Let me just put this down just a little bit. There we go. So, and say we have our posture and we're all set. And now we're trying to take that forward step. If we're going to do them with projection. So if, let's say, you just bend your knee, then see how very forward already. I have left the base. This is not really a projection. I've fallen into my step. I'm sort of going to manage my way across. Also, I feel a little bit like a robot because my legs are doing all the work. Instead of doing that, place your hands on your hips in your tango position and try to see how you can move the pelvis to create this little swing in the free leg. Oh, so I need to move my pelvis in this way. All right. Now observe what happens in the upper body. We want to connect the dots here. We want to connect the hips, the free leg, the standing leg, and the upper part of the body. So, when you move your hips in this way, actually take your hands, put them on your hips, and move your pelvis. You'll see that the free leg starts to move forward, and your spine is starting to extend to support this movement. And if you keep on going, your base leg will bend. And see now how I can move this leg, no problem. My hips are back, so I'm supporting my axis in this way, and you can push the side. So, let me take you a little bit further up to see what the upper body is doing. So, if we do that same action, focusing on the upper body, I place my hands on my hips. I am creating that pelvic swing. You can do it with your hands first. This is an exercise, by the way. It's not how you dance tango, right? So it's an exercise for you guys to start feeling how this works. So you place your hands on your hips, feel these two ears of the pelvis. You hold that tight here. Use your hands to create this motion. You start taking the pelvis in a posterior tilt and then tilting it anteriorly, forward and back. And instead of locking everything like this, you allow your spine to actually follow through. Follow through with the motion, supporting what your hips are doing. And step. Okay, so now let's do the reverse, meaning leading ourselves into back steps. So I'm gonna walk away from you again, take you down just a tad, so you can actually see how the hips and our knees are moving together. And here we are. I have space? Yes, I do. So we place our hands on our hips. We're already in our tangled position. And from here, you start moving your hips back. Use your hands to actually do this one. And see how that affects your knee. And step. Usually what we do is we start from our position, we shift our weight over, and we bend our knee. And see how now I'm so much forward, I have a lot of difficulty to keeping my base. Yes, you might make it across, but it requires a lot more work to keep this leg, this axis steady. So instead, again, let's see how this works on the other side. You find your position, and you're experimenting with the position of the hips. Back, back, forward. And that is actually a nice swing of the free leg. We're still in control. Now, let's see, if we take it up to the upper body, let's see how that looks. So, we start in our tangled position, and we want to connect the dots between the previous videos that we've done, that you find your posture as an extension of the spine, and how we manage our footwork for the steps. So connect the spine, the hips, and the two legs that are doing the work. So here we go. From here, if we start moving the hips in an anterior tilt, allow the spine to extend and support this movement. I can be moving my hips and not moving my spine. You're going to look like this, funny. So instead, here we go. So this is my message for you leaders. This is my message for you. So if you want to lead your partner in a more effortless way, you need to work on leading yourself first. Think of what is the best way to take that forward step and feel that my whole body is participating. You don't just want your legs, this is the most common mistake, you don't just want to get your legs started, because if you just get your legs started and you disconnect them from what your upper body is doing, you would have to work extra. You need to spend some extra thinking energy on how you actually activate the body to send your partner into that step or invite her into a forward step. So instead of doing that, you want to find a way to connect what the legs are doing with what your upper body is doing. And this is what this video is about. So if you start finding the movement in your hips that, again, I'm telling you, is going to be a lot smaller than what we're doing here. This is just an exercise. If you find a movement in your hips and you allow your spine to support that movement and you allow that movement to affect your free and your standing leg, then you'll see that all the dots are starting to connect. And that will make your step, your dance, and your leading a lot more efficient. So try these out. Let's start, nice and simple with something that is a very important element in tango, and you'll see that will connect the dots in many other ways. So again, this is an exercise. This is not how you dance. You don't move your hips this much, but you do need to find the movement of the subtle movement of the pelvis around the legs, into the spine, and into the legs. So if you want more videos like this, let me know in the comments below, and visit Bautanz.com for more tips and drills.